It's all good, whatever, however it goes. Okay, we are live. We are live. Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom Series with Liz Gabor, and always have a wonderful guest with me to really create a platform for women's voices, women's stories, women's intelligence, and really to learn about how they navigated their lives, share the work they do in the world, and more. So it's a way really for me to spotlight the fabulous women in my private Facebook group, the Ageless Goddess Vibe Tribe. So if you are watching this and you identify as a woman, please come over and join us over there. And again, this link will provide this to my guests so that they can do with it what they wish, share with their communities, their friends, their family, whatever they like. Again, it's really, I have this deep calling to shift women's perceptions of themselves as we age, of each other, in addition to shifting our cultural beliefs around aging for women, because I know that our country needs more than ever the powerful voices, intelligence, radiance, creativity of being a woman. So this week's Wednesday Wisdom is with the fabulous, one of my new friends from this world, cyber world, is Cordelia Gaffar. And I'll introduce you, and then I'm going to give you the spotlight to share some time with us. Okay, so it's a very, very impressive woman. I knew that from when I met you, and was drawn to you. So I'm so happy that we had a chance to get to know each other a little bit better, and that will definitely, I hope, to continue. So Cordelia Gaffar is the emotional opener transformation strategist, guiding leaders to use their darkest and most difficult emotions to show up powerfully as a courageous leader. 2020 was a year of very difficult conversations surrounding diversity, equity, belonging, and inclusion. And Ms. Gaffar has been at the forefront of facilitating this conversation on an organizational level. In 2021, along with award-winning Berlin-based co-hosts Myra and Peter Griffiths, created the Unlearning Labels podcast and workshops to help organizations to implement actionable tools and change policies, much needed. She is also a force in women's empowerment and awarded top national influencer, a sexy, brilliant ambassador and leader, and indicted into the Global Library of Female Authors. Her new book, Detached Love, Transforming Your Heart so that you can transform your mind. I have it right here. I was blessed to be at the launch, which was so much fun. Highlights her Replenish Me process, which is a self-leadership surrounding practicing sustainable mindfulness. Her other awards include Best Podcast Host of 2019 for her Free to Be podcast, Volunteer of the Year, and best-selling co-author of America's Leading Ladies Who Positively Impact the World with Oprah Winfrey and several dynamic women. Wow. Even with all her accolades, her biggest brag is being a homeschooling mom of six children. As seen on America's Meditating Radio, British Muslim TV, Spirituality Podcast, also featured on South African Radio 786 and Fox News. I will put the rest of the information in the show notes so people can find you. But I'll give the opportunity at the end to just tell people where they can find you. But that's some beautiful bio you have there. So, what I like to do when I start this is really give you the stage to share what your story is. Just 5-7 minutes, share whatever you like, some career highlights, pivotal moments, defining moments. I mean, I would love you to touch on, the bold decision to become a Muslim, and, the story around that. I would think that that's really unbelievable. And also just to double click on the decision, the bold decision, the homeschool children. That's my ask, but again, this is your time, so the stage is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Liz, for having this platform for women and for your mission. You know, it's super important. I don't know if you saw this morning, but I posted that I want women to unlearn neediness and to, you know, and self-loathing, right? So with your platform of the Ageless Goddess, that's like right up there.
Yeah, because I can relate. I definitely had that. Not enough, not this enough, not that enough for so many years, and it's a letting go of that, and yeah, unlearning for sure.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, and you know, my story, I guess those two stories that you want me to highlight, definitely. Wow, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so I became Muslim like 2 months before September 11th. And you know, that was actually a 10-year journey for me, you know, to even decide to be Muslim. But what was defining for me was actually my not the fact that I married a Muslim, but the fact that my daughter, like when our daughter turned 1, I was like, you know what? I have a choice, right? In how I'm going to raise her. And, you know, I grew up in an Episcopal church, you know, so there are a lot of protocols, I want to say, you know, um, and a lot of expectations and a lot of shoulds and should nots for women in that, you know, kind of, it's, I don't know, I guess ritualistic culture that I grew up in. So now, you know, my decision to become Muslim was, I found it very profound that while we are taught that Muslim women are oppressed, if you actually research and know the history of Islam, at that time in Saudi Arabia, women were pretty much chattel, right? And so what we revere of this naked, almost naked Jasmine, you know, from the Aladdin series, sadly, women had to dress like that because that's all they were given to wear. So when Islam came and, you know, it was about women being respected and having the right to property and the right to be taken care of. I want you to hold on to that. Okay. Because that's why women were, you wear an abaya, right? You wear a hijab to cover your beauty instead of, you know, just everybody seeing what God gave you, right? And the right to inherit property from your dad. Come on now, because that and the whole like all the, you know, having a will and all those things are Islamic concepts. And those were like laws put in place to protect women, because like you get married, right? And then your husband dies, you can get raped and your house will be taken, your property will be taken because you are property. So that's what was going on in Saudi Arabia when Islam came. So and so it actually gave rights to women. And, you know, it's like, no, step off my property. The prophet's first wife, in fact, was 15 years older than him. So like, that's not a new thing, guys. Okay, ladies. And they had 6 children together, you know, and she, you know, so it's like, those were the things, you know, seeing the strong woman and seeing women elevated. And that's what drew me to Islam. And then, you know, I was working that time in you know, corporate America. And I literally left work on Friday dressing like you. And then I came back dressed like this on Monday. And people were like, whoa, what happened? You know, and then 2 months later, September 11th. And, you know, but that was beautiful because, you know, I was just starting, I had just, you know, recently become a mother, you know, recently gotten married. And so my first 4 or 5 years of marriage and motherhood, you know, it's a ramp up and it's a culture shock anyway. But how about like, I'm going to the grocery store with my kids and my kids are getting aggressed upon, even though they're 3 years old, and they're knocking stuff over like any other kid, but it's because it's a brown Muslim kid and they raise their kids as terrorists. So, and I know that diversity, equity, and inclusion is all the craze now, but how about I've been doing that my entire life because I don't have a choice. And I chose in that space, that this was also how I came up with Replenish Me, because you have a choice with that too, right? I can be enraged and I can be bitter about, planning how to get to the grocery store, like, and what if, right? And so I just kept it to the grocery list, and I stopped worrying about the what if, and I started coming from a space of, I'm going to love myself, my children, and humanity enough that it would take a really miserable person to even try any business with me. So, I just took on this practice of raising my own vibration and radiating love and peace, so that people couldn't misbehave with us. And so that's, yeah. And so all these years later,
can I ask, Cordelia, did you find, I mean, I believe in that fully, that is, that we can, we can shift people, you can shift people's energy by radiating that love. Did you ever have a problem, or did you just, you kind of just, that was how you walked into the room or the grocery store, and, and you didn't feel threatened, or you felt safe in that knowing that, when you radiate love, you'll be protected? Or
it got, at some point it becomes unconscious, right? So like here and there, yeah, I did, run into like weirdos that wanted to, what they call microaggressions, and I would just have to laugh, and and then of course, someone, we know that when people aggress upon other people, it's never a microaggression. First of all, let's be clear. Second of all, they're projecting ugliness within themselves, right? So when I laughed, you have a choice. You can laugh with me, or you can feel offended, like I'm laughing at you, right? And sometimes people would cry and just tell me the truth, I'm having a bad day. My husband cussed me out this morning. I'm so sorry to hear that,
Yeah.
And that's all it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So tell me about your decision to homeschool your children.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your professional choice, that you went from corporate, and how you made that transition into what you're doing now, and share with us what you are doing now.
Yeah. So I had postpartum depression after my second child. And so when I found out I was pregnant with our third, I decided, for health reasons, let me just not work anymore. And in that process, I guess our oldest was coming up on 4 years old. So I had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then a brand new baby. And I thought, I can always come back and do my career, even though I had finally gotten the job I wanted. I was a CFO for a IT startup. And I found out over the summer about homeschooling. And so I researched that, and I was like, this lines up with my worldview on how children should learn, right? Because I went to Montessori school, like when Montessori first came to America 40 years ago. And also the way children should learn history. It is a story. It's the story of people, right? So I chose to teach my children through biographies, right? Instead of facts and figures. It's like, okay, so let's learn about the American Revolution. There was this lady called, Elizabeth Wheaton, and she did this, and so it's like, that's how they know history.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's where I was coming from. I think that I'm not crazy about vaccinations. Yeah, I think that the public school system sucks, but deeper than that, I want my children to actually be educated, and have a sense of self. So I did that for 17 years, And so I have 2 adult children, 2 teenagers, and my youngest is 7. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. It really is. I do. I bow down to homeschool teachers or families, but I've also heard that you can create a really nice community with other, homeschool families, which I think is I'm one.
Look, I at this point, like I told people, I was like, look, it's not homeschooling, it's car schooling mostly because we're always driving somewhere,
Yeah.
And then, before COVID, it was world schooling, but now we actually are in our homes, which has been weird. Like, yeah.
Now it's like everybody had to learn homeschooling. So.
Yes. Even me.
Yeah. Yes. But you probably had a little bit of a heads up. Yeah. For a lot of people reached out, Cordelia, what do we do with these kids at home? But again, it's all about like just how do we like kind of just we don't have control over anything anyway. So how about we just go with what we can control and find ways to educate our children best we can, regardless of the situation. So yeah, just a little aside. So tell me if there's any other like pivotal moments, and not the ones that I wanted you to highlight, but ones that you might want to share that kind of had a radical impact on or a profound impact on your life. It could be negative, could be positive, but that's how we learn from that. As we learn from stories. We learn, as
100%. So, I was told for many years, because part of homeschooling, I was, organizing co-ops, leading Girl Scout troops, Boy Scouts troops, stuff like that. And moms always asked me, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? And then they recommended that I write a book. So eventually I started keeping a blog, which became my first book 6 years ago. And I just wanted to share the information with other people. And I did workshops, and but when it got really, and I would say the pivotal moment for me happened about 3 years ago, after I decided to really, take international speaking on board. And I went on a speakers retreat in Bali. And it's so funny because like yesterday, the video for that, how like your iPhone will give you these memories.
Yeah.
And so the video for the day that I left the retreat came up, and everything that I said in that video has come to pass. So
that was 3 years ago.
That was 2018. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So I was like completely cracked open and finally understanding the depth of my work. And, even though I still identify first and foremost as an author, I mean, how can I not? I've written 7 books, but, deeper than that, my work has translated into, becoming what I call emotions opener transformation strategist, and coaching women and leaders on how to really be with their emotions. And, I even thought about that this morning. I was like, it's not only the difficult emotions, because one of the struggles I would say that I have, and some of the women that I work with, is, being with pleasure, being with joy, and like not feeling shamed for that. And I'm still trying to figure out where that came from. It's like, you're married for 20 years. What's the problem with pleasure and joy? Go ahead and, feel into that. And even if you're not married, like, like you have to like taste the sweetness of life, taste the sweetness of your sensuality. I mean, what's the purpose of having a body if you're not enjoying it? Like, because we are spiritual beings in a vessel, but while you have that vessel, feel the sensuality of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, enjoy your food, dance,
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah.
I think that we are so deficient in that vital nutrient of pleasure. Like we are just, and that's where the creativity comes from. That's where that radiance comes from, is when we are feeling that, that those heightened emotions of pleasure and joy. Yeah. And I think for some people, I mean, I know for myself as an empath, like you feel the pains of life deeply, but you also feel the joys of life deeply, which can be like a lot for some people. But it's something to really get comfortable with, because that's that, again, like you started. That's how we raise a collective vibration. So I love that you're teaching women
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So, like that's what I started touching on in my book, detached love. And like the last chapter, and this came up, at the book launch, Teresa was like, and I know you have another book coming, because like that chapter 10, like what? You just leaving us hanging, And it's so funny because one of my clients that I'm working with, and she was like, you know what, Cordelia, I really want to explore pleasure. And I was like, okay, so this is like a reoccurring theme. Like I can't run away from it.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay.
I'm really developing a process of like, what does pleasure and presence look like, and what does that mean, and why do we keep ourselves from that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And there's definitely work to be done for us in that area. And like I mean, I try to take pleasure breaks and try to recommend them to people. And, just a lot of the things that you had ideas in your book too that were, really, really good. So I highly recommend your book, but, and the next one.
Yeah, it's being written.
That's devastating. Oh, it's being written. Okay, good, good,
Yeah.
good. Excellent. I'm looking forward to that. So my question then, next question would be like, how would you say you find the balance between, raising 6 kids and pleasure and being a wife and your beautiful work that you do in the world? Like, how do you find that balance?
Yeah. Every day has a theme. I just ask myself the question, like, how can I create joy today?
Mm.
And what does that feel like? And Mondays, I don't work.
Mm.
Yeah. And Thursdays, I don't work. So there are days that, like, Monday is like really a recalibrating day. Thursday is more of I don't work because I'm connecting, So the morning is for my kids and the afternoon is for like new people that I meet. Um, and um, and then all the days in between, it's just kind of what feels appropriate to do. I know that doesn't really, I'm not a 1, 2, 3, 4 step process
Yeah.
person. Although you'll see in my book, I'll say there's 4 steps to replenish me. That's because it's in a book. But
Yeah.
like in real life, like who can do that? You know?
No, as you're absolutely right. There's isn't right. We need flexibility. We need, especially as a mom, and yeah, in our work for sure. So I get that. But do you have like a morning routine, something that you do to kind? Well, I love that. I love that you said that you have a theme, and so do you kind of set an intention? You said you set an intention around that theme. Is there anything like you do in the morning to? I'm all about I like morning routines. I like my morning time. I have a set one I've been doing for a long time. So I'm curious if you have one.
Yeah, my chronotype is actually lion. And so I recommend you guys read the book of The Power of, oh my goodness. I can't remember the full name of the book. Anyway, Dr. Bruce. So, and it's Breus.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Power, I can't remember the name of the book. Oh my God. It's going to, Power of When. I think that's what it's
Mhm.
called. Anyway, so as a lion, I start my day at 4 o'clock in the morning. I know that sounds unconscionable for the average human being because most people are bears. And you'll know what that means when you read the book. And so my whole day is pretty much, my work day is done at 9 o'clock, which is why I choose to work with Europeans,
Ah,
because they're 5 or 6 hours ahead of me. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't people. So like from from 4 to 6, it usually more looks like, I get up, I pray, and sometimes I do yoga, sometimes I dance, um, sometimes I write. Always, I am in inquiry of, what is joy going to look like today? And and then I eat a very, and depending on what the day is going to be, that's how I determine what I would eat, right? So, sometimes I actually cook my breakfast, sometimes it's raw, sometimes it's, nah, I never just have a smoothie. I usually have a pretty like a manly breakfast. Like I'm sorry if I'm using words that people don't like, but I usually have a pretty huge breakfast. So if I have a smoothie, then I'll have like more to it than that. So food is very important. Nutrition is super important. After exercise, and then after food, I'll have a shot of espresso, and then I start work.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That 4 to 6 hours, those ambrosial hours, that's really where yeah. And having 6 kids, or a lot of kids at home, maybe not all, but to have that no people. What did you say? No people time?
I don't people.
I don't
people on my phone, on my, devices, nothing, not in my face. So yeah, like I don't see my kids until 9 o'clock, and they know better. They won't knock my door, any of that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's really good. I don't people. Could use that for sure. I used to have an hour afterwards. I social worker after work that I would go in my room and just have us, they knew, like, I'll be out in an hour. My husband, when I lived with him, but now I'm just going to say, I know people from that time to this time. It's great. So a couple more, then we're going to go through a little rapid fire kind of speed round.
Okay.
That I like. So, just one piece of advice that you would give your 20-year-old self, if you could go back and share with them the wisdom that you have today.
You have a voice, use it.
Yeah. So good. So good. And if you could kind of populate the waters for your children as they have children, and your great grandchildren, the children coming up after them, future generations, what would you want them to learn and get right, kind of hope for them from a young age?
Be with your breath, because it will allow you to hear the beat of your heart, which will help you to wait for the download of wisdom so that you'll know the next right step. Yeah.
Every kid learned that, right? Drop into your heart.
Yeah. Drop into your, right? Transform your heart so you can transform your mind. That's where it is. People call it presence, but it's so many layers deeper than that. And, kids get that just innately. They're born like that. Kids are born present. We screw them up, so yeah.
Yeah. We were all born that way, right? Yeah. And then we got the programming. Yeah. Right. I would say future generations stay like unprogrammed and stay like,
yeah.
It's just, yeah. Oh, that would be so good. Okay. I'll just ask you, like, because I do focus on ageism, and especially towards women. And I think the way the media and the industries, the beauty industries, fashion industries, of course, the cosmetic surgery industries, they focus on younger people and make older people feel like less valued, and I think invisible a lot, and small. And I think it's toxic and dangerous. And so I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah. In general, time is an illusion, right? But gravity isn't. So, and our relationship to both should kind of be in the space of gratitude, right? Be grateful that, there really is no time. There's only a lot of space, and that we have the ability to stay grounded. And that is the real beauty and joy of life. And if you focus on the importance of that, then all this other stuff will just it will fall away, because none of those things matter. You know what I mean? It's like the way you look isn't really who you are anyway, because we are just, it's because of our human eyes that I appear the way I do to you and you appear the way you do to me. We don't even have skin, really. You know, we're just like energies. So like, who cares what you look like? You know, the best part is, you know, your depth of experience, right? Your depth of wisdom. And that is the beauty of knowing another person. It's who they are, you know, who their character that matters. Yeah.
Yeah. And as we're growing older, it's we gain more of that wisdom because we're you know, we have more life experience. So yeah, it's very true. I like to say, like, gravity gets a little more effective as we grow older.
And that just means that it's more of an opportunity to connect with the earth.
Exactly. Ground yourself. Yes, yes, yes. Love that. Love that. Okay. So we're going to do a speed round. You ready?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What's a fun fact about you?
I love soca music.
You were also a DJ. I can share that fun fact.
Oh, I was yeah, that's right. I was a DJ in college.
I'll share that fun fact about you. I don't know if you watch TV, but if you do, is there any show that you are currently loving or that you would recommend?
I don't watch TV, but I would recommend The Hidden Life of Trees. I don't know if you see the reoccurring theme. That's a documentary.
That's a documentary. Was it also a book?
It is also a book.
Yeah, I've heard about the book. I haven't heard about that documentary. I will. Can you put that in the fridge? Thank you. I am going to watch that. I love the trees dancing, and I hug them, and I haven't read it, but now I might watch it. Thank you. Okay, 3 things that you don't think you could live without.
Chocolate. The ocean. And I'm not sure about the third one. Is it just 3? Oh my God. Dancing. I'll just say that.
That's nice. Movement. Yes. Do you have a dream vacation destination?
I do. Algarve. Yeah.
Nice. I want to hear about your Bali trip too, because that's one of my short bucket list.
I would go back to Bali for sure, but no, I have never been to Portugal, so that's
nice, beautiful. My superpower is?
My superpower is helping people to connect deeply to themselves.
Beautiful. I'm most grateful for?
I'm most grateful for my ex-husband.
Nice. It all comes down to blank.
It all comes down to honoring yourself.
Beautiful. Success is?
Success is your choice.
Nice. I believe in?
I believe in pleasure.
Nice. Relationships are?
Relationships are like breathing.
Sisterhood is?
Sisterhood is essential.
Nice. Do you have a favorite quote or words that you live by? I mean, I love the joy is your, how am I going to find joy today? That's one I wrote down, but.
Eartha Kitt. She said that I want someone to be in love with me right? Like I'm already in love with myself. I want someone who's in love with me to be in love with me, being in love with me, not someone to be supporting my love deficit. So
Mm,
yeah,
that's so good. Oh,
she's
yeah.
the original self-love goddess. I don't know why people don't know about her, but like I grew up with Eartha Kitt, so
So, yeah, she's got some amazing quotes that I've
yeah,
definitely read. And yeah, definitely she is definitely a featured ageless goddess in
yes.
every sense. Every sense. So tell me then next, the last couple things. Uh, when you hear the term ageless, what does it mean to you?
It's like, you know, of course we're ageless because we're souls, you know, um, and there is no, we can't make something finite that isn't.
Right. Exactly. It's that, yeah. That formless, like you were saying, like that without the skin suit, the formless, timeless part of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you hear, the ageless goddess, the term ageless goddess, because you know where it came from for me. I believe that you know the story, but what people have interpreted in a lot of different ways. So I want to hear how you would interpret, being an ageless goddess or what an ageless goddess is in your understanding.
It's a recognition that we are, women are the portals between worlds. You hear me say that a lot, right? So
Mhm.
we're divine beings. We're the opening and the mercy in this planet, and just recognizing the power of that and embracing, all things in your life from that worldview as opposed to um, the conditioning. Yeah.
Yeah, so good, so true. So I know that people are going to want to get in touch with you from this audience and learn more about you and your work and work directly with you potentially. Maybe get some of your other books, or the latest one for sure. And anything maybe that I left out, if you'd like to share, how those couple of things would be great. And I will include, the other things, but if there's like a website or somewhere or your group, if you want to share.
Yeah, yeah. I make life super easy because, like, my name is Cordelia Gaffar, and my website is called cordeliagaffar.com. I also, just welcome anyone who, has a question about anything I said today to just email me. I'm totally cool with that. I like reading. And people do send me their life story. So it's hello@cordeliagaffar.com. And then I have an invitation. I have a quarterly event, so this one is coming up on June 18th, called Unlearning Codependency. And I was just actually having a conversation this morning with someone, and she was like, that sounds like pretty generic to me. What really is that about? And so it specifically targets narcissism in our society, right? So the panelists are experts on different forms of narcissism. One, with intimate relationship, one with parents, religious organizations, toxic workplaces, you know. So, narcissism is more omnipresent than we realize.
Mhm.
And, we chose consciously, me and my experts, not to use the term narcissism. But when I speak one on one or in small groups, I'll mention, if you have had an experience with narcissism, this will help you with that. And so this quarter, we're focusing on addressing the grief of disentangling, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's the codependency part, right? We get like wrapped up in their energy and, whatever that is. And even if you leave a workplace, you're going to, gravitate towards another work environment that's just as toxic. So, yeah.
Yeah, breaking that cycle. And it's interesting because I always think of well, codependency within a relationship, and then when you highlight, the different panelists, yeah, it's every area of life you can be affected by this type of relationship, which is toxic. And so I encourage anybody who is wanting to learn more about that to join you. And it's a powerful topic, and I think really needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's June 18th, 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay.
So yeah, but that's on the first page of my website anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Cordelia Gaffar. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name slightly wrong, but CordeliaGaffar.com. And so I thank you so much from my heart to yours for being a part of the Wednesday Wisdom series. You have so much wisdom, and just your presence. You have such a presence and a peace, and you just have you just have a way of pausing, in your speech that is just, I find it really refreshing and beautiful. So I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Till next time. Bye-bye, everybody.